Hi, I'm Bryan Strawser, Principal and Chief Executive here at Brightpath, and welcome to our video, What is IT Disaster Recovery? An overview. I'll be talking about ITDR, have some common gaps that we see with disaster recovery programs, how it integrates with business continuity and crisis management, and I'll end with a little bit about how we at Brightpath might be able to help you with your IT disaster recovery program. Here at Brightpath, we work with the world's leading brands to strategically manage uncertainty and disruption. We are experts in business continuity, crisis management, and IT disaster recovery. By way of a quick introduction, for me, I have spent nearly 30 years in and around the resilience domains of business continuity, crisis management, and IT disaster recovery. I've led the development and implementation of dozens of business continuity, crisis management, and ITDR programs at Fortune 500 organizations and nonprofit organizations, and I hold multiple professional certifications in business continuity, corporate security, and emergency management. I have an MBA from the University of Minnesota's Carlson School of Management, a master's degree in international relations from King's College London, and I'm currently a doctoral student at Hamline University here in Minnesota. So with that as background, let's dive right into ITDR. When I'm talking about IT disaster recovery, what I am talking about is the capability to restore the critical technologies and data in your business within a time frame that is acceptable following a disruption. So it's really about getting your critical technologies back up and running within that time frame that you need them so that you can continue to operate your critical business practices, critical business processes in your organization. Now, you're probably asking why this is important. Well, when technology fails, your business processes simply can't wait for technology to be restored. Technology, after all, is the engine of modern business, but it is also a single point of failure. As we become more reliant on technology, we have become more reliant on technology. And it has, whether that failure comes about because of ransomware, or you've got an infrastructure outage, or a human error, maybe you're implementing a change and that change has gone bad, the consequences of downtime are real. You can have revenue loss, you can have regulatory exposure, you can have reputational damage, you can have operational disruption or operational paralysis. The point is that having an IT disaster recovery capability, having high availability for your organization is no longer optional. This is a strategic imperative for you because we have become so dependent on technology that if your technology systems are not available, a lot of the times your teams can simply not do the work that you're expecting them to be able to do. And you can be dead in the water for many of your critical business processes. So when we're talking about an IT disaster recovery program, we're really talking about some key foundational components of a program in your organization. The first is some basic policy and governance, that you have a formal disaster recovery policy and governance framework that outlines clear ownership, defined roles, and executive accountability, that we understand who owns the DR program, that there are defined roles and responsibilities, and we know which leader, often the CIO, is accountable for that program. So we're laying out the basics. What's the scope? What is the compliance requirements? What's the testing frequency of plans? And what are our expectations for continual improvement? The second is that we have clear recovery objectives defined. Now, some different terms are used in different companies, but this is commonly referred to as a recovery time objective. When do we need an application back up and running? And a recovery point objective. How much data loss can we tolerate? And we do this for each critical system and application and its own infrastructure dependencies that it needs. And these requirements, RTO, when do I need the application back up and running? RPO, what's my maximum tolerable data loss? These need to align with business impact, not just your technical capabilities. What is the business requirement for this application? And that's where alignment with business continuity really comes into play. The third part of your program are documented and tested or exercised recovery plans. That you have clear disaster recovery plans that are actionable. They're detailed, meaning that you can actually use this plan to recover this application, and that they are tested regularly through realistic exercises, not just a tabletop walkthrough, but you can show that you have tested this and you can recover this application and make it work in its alternate restored environment, recovered environment. Testing validates your assumptions for recovery. It exposes gaps and it builds confidence for the team. So you need to test your actual plans. And then lastly, your ITDR program has to be integrated with your business continuity and crisis management capabilities. It cannot exist in a vacuum. It needs to be integrated with the business impact analysis requirements, your business continuity plans, and your organization's crisis management framework. That ensures that you have good coordination in a broader business disruption, and it ensures that your disaster recovery tiering, that RTO and RPO that we were just talking about, are being derived from that business impact analysis data being collected within your business continuity program. When we talk about the BIA, if you've watched our video on what is business continuity, you have seen this before, but we're really talking about your business continuity program conducting a business impact analysis where they're capturing all of these components of a business impact analysis, the business capabilities, your products and services, key personnel, technology applications, sites, raw materials, the impact of a disruption. They're capturing these dependencies for your critical business processes. That data feeds into your disaster recovery requirements and your disaster recovery plans, and it helps you mitigate your enterprise risks. But most importantly for you is it helps you understand those technology dependencies that your business teams have on critical technologies and helps you determine those RTOs and RPOs, your recovery tiering that you need to have to help you build effective availability and disaster recovery plans. Now, when it comes to gaps, we see a lot of common gaps with ITDR programs. It starts with when IT and business strategies are just not in sync. That technology recovery priorities don't align with the actual business impact or your critical customer outcomes, just like we were just talking about with the BIA. The second are when BC and ITDR are disconnected, that there are separate planning efforts, that there is not good communication, and that leads to inconsistent assumptions, siloed execution, and recovery delays. The third is when there is overconfidence in cloud and SaaS providers. We assume sometimes that it's in the cloud, so it must be resilient. It's in the cloud, so DR is built in, without validating RTOs and RPOs, our data recovery strategies, or contractual SLAs. We assume that third-party resilience exists rather than be proven. The critical vendors may lack tested recovery capabilities, and few organizations really hold them accountable through exercises and audits, or sometimes even make their own backups of data. And no real-world testing, that we're not actually testing against our recovery strategies. We have plans, but we're not exercising those against realistic high-impact scenarios, especially those involving cyber threats or cascading failures in the organizations. Often we see a lot of assumptions made with DR tests rather than really thinking through the real-life scenarios that you might be faced with. Often we see recovery objectives that are just misunderstood or they're unrealistic, where business leaders may expect near zero downtime while the IT team is prepared to recover in days rather than hours. And lastly, just lack of ownership and governance, where ITDR is treated as a technical task, not really as a core component of enterprise resilience with executive accountability in the organization. These are some common gaps that we see when we're helping companies evaluate and improve their ITDR programs. When it comes to really moving programs forward, one gap that we often see is software, and really being able to get that business impact analysis out of spreadsheets and things like that, static tools like that, and into a place where you can actually do analysis, takes us to business continuity software that can also be used for ITDR. Fusion Risk Management is one of the leaders in that space, and this is software that we often recommend, but it lets you get that BIA data connected to CMDB tools like ServiceNow or others, and really be able to integrate that data in a way that makes it usable for an ITDR program. Now, there are a number of industry standards and regulatory and compliance frameworks that cover ITDR and business continuity management from a standard standpoint. Of course, with business continuity, we often are using ISO 22301 for business continuity management systems. There's also ISO 27031 for ITDR, and their ISO is in the process of publishing a new version of this. As I record this video in 2025, we expect to see that later this year. From a regulatory standpoint, we have things like FFIEC that have business continuity and ITDR requirements documented in their regulatory frameworks. From a government standpoint, we have the federal continuity directives and continuity guidance circulars for governmental agencies, but we also have the NIST Cybersecurity Framework version 2 is the current version, and we have NIST 853, which has a number of controls, both of which get into a lot of detail about IT disaster recovery and contingency planning requirements that provide good, solid frameworks and control frameworks that you can adopt for your organization as well. And then, of course, if you're following any of the data security compliance frameworks like High Trust, Direct Trust, ENAC, or PCI, all of these have ITDR requirements in terms of a control framework that you can adopt for your organization and then choose to follow voluntarily or even seek certification through. As you've heard me say in other videos, if you've watched our What is Business Continuity or What is Crisis Management videos, we see IT disaster recovery as just one component of a broader organizational resilience strategy for your organization. And it is important to think of it as just one part of that broader strategy alongside crisis management, enterprise risk management, information or cybersecurity, physical security, crisis communications, business continuity, and life safety and emergency procedures. And only by thinking about a holistic resilience strategy can you really achieve a good state of resilience for your organization. These all need to work together. Got to really think about cutting across silos to really advance and mature your resilience as an organization. There's a number of ways in which we can help you here at Brightpath if you're looking for help with your IT disaster recovery program. For us, it starts with our resiliency diagnosis effort. This is a strategic evaluation of your current ITDR capabilities and alignment against business priorities. We're benchmarking here against your ISO 22301 and ISO 27031 or other standards and regulatory frameworks, but it gives you a prioritized, actionable evaluation and roadmap to help guide the evolution and maturity of your ITDR program. From there, we can help you in a number of ways by developing your program and policy, by building plans and documentation, by helping you develop tiering strategies for application and infrastructure, and then by building testing and exercise strategies for your ITDR program, and then ensuring that your IT and business continuity management programs are properly aligned and integrated. And then we can also help provide coaching from a one-on-one standpoint with your leaders to help you grow confident IT disaster recovery leaders at all levels in your organization. Our approach at Brightpath is a proven process where we move from diagnosing with our resiliency diagnosis process to start with that proprietary assessment process, and then design, once we have that truth in hand, designing a program that aligns directly with your business strategy, your risk appetite, your culture, and your operational needs, and then delivering on that promise by partnering with you to execute on the program design, taking that vision and making it real, focusing on tangible credibility building, not just documentation. And then lastly, ensuring that resilience is not one and done by continuing to evolve that strategy with you, helping you optimize and grow your capabilities through maturity reviews, executive engagement, and optional managed services. We've used this proven process over and over with complex organizations around the world. That's it for our presentation on what is IT disaster recovery. If we can help you in any way, please contact me at the email address you see here on the screen, or drop us a call at 612-235-6435. You can find additional free resources on our website at brightpath.com. Thanks again for watching our video. Be well.